Greetings and shalom. So today this video is going to be about Sexy Red. Who is she? We already know that she's an influencer of the youth, of the corrupt minds, but also she is playing a archetype. That archetype being Aphrodite or Ashtar or Inanna Semiramis, the old Babylonian Kemetic principles and so forth. So right here in the still shot we have Mr. Kodak Black, who allegedly claims to be a quote-unquote Hebrew Israelite. Now, when I say Israelite or Hebrew Israelite, it's always going to have a negative connotation because of social media or the brothers or the camps preaching out there on the streets. Now, I do adhere to the certain teachings, not all, like most Israelites or people who claim to be the descendants of the book. We all have different ideologies, okay? We're all not the same. So we got to remember, the truth doesn't make people come together. The truth divides, right? Even Christ, or the Hamashiach, said he's come to bring division, right? So we all won't be in agreement, right? You have some camps or some Israelites that believe that, Jerusalem or Israel is not in the correct location. Or you have some that believe that in the Americas, Israel is over here, and so forth. So there's many doctrines and many philosophies and concepts of what people adhere to and whatnot. But that's for you to decipher and do your own diligent research to find the truth, or the knowledge, I should say. So the world is a stage and everyone has to play their part, right? This is a stage and we're all actors in the grand scheme of things. But, when it comes to who are the biblical people of the book versus the people who claim to be, that's a discrepancy right there. And there are many clues to unlock or unveil in the characteristics of the people of the book. But more importantly, let's get back to the topic of the hand gesture or the 666 OK sign. A lot of your entertainers are nothing but puppets who are under different MK Ultra personalities or mental disorders, meaning what? Multiple personalities and so forth. So we must remember that when these celebrities or entertainers say they believe in God, we have to question which God do they believe in? The God of the scriptures or the Most High, or all of the other Babylonian Kemetic gods or idols? Because we have to remember one thing. False gods, are they real? No. But they're the angels on the left-hand side. Remember, the Most High deceives, or the profane that are meant to be deceived. So now we're at Jubilees chapter 15, 30 to 32. For Ishmael and his sons and his brothers and Esau, the Lord did not cause to approach him. And he chose them not because they are the children of Abraham, because he knew them, but he chose Israel to be his people. Okay. Verse 31, and he sanctified it and gathered it from amongst all the children of men, for there are many nations and many peoples, and all are his, because he's the creator, right? And over all has he placed spirits in authority to lead them astray from him. So he's placed spirits in authority to lead the people astray. The Most High sends them out to deceive the masses, those who are predestined to be deceived, known as deceiving spirits or evil spirits. They are sent all over the world to deceive the various nations predestined to be deceived. Now we're at 1 Kings 22, verse 18 through 23, to back up that claim. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, did I not tell thee that he would prophesy no good concerning me, but evil? And he said, hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord, or Yahweh, sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him, on his right hand and on his left. Verse 20, and Yahweh said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And the one on this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord, or Yahweh, and said, I will persuade him. Verse 22, and the Lord, or Yahweh, said unto him, wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also, go forth and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord, or Yahweh, has put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord, or Yahweh, has spoken evil concerning thee. So right here we have the book, The Two Babylons, or the Papal Worship, proved to be the worship of Nimrod by Alexander Hislop. I believe this book came out in the late 1800s. Real decisive, informative book. But the false idols are the commemoration of Nimrod, Cush, and Semiramis. The term Lucifer just means light barrier. The knowledge that they taught was how to rebel against the Most High. Okay, going against the Torah or the laws of Moses. And we see this in our current society, especially in our so-called black women who are acting as whores or harlots in this society. So in essence, there is no one true religion, okay? Because the Most High ain't dealing with religion, only laws, statutes, and commandments. And everyone's not meant for truth, because everyone can't handle the truth. It's called predestination. Okay, the Most High does not preside over a religion. He presides over laws, statutes, and commandments. That covenant was only given to one nation of people, the 12 tribes of Israel, okay? So you have to be rooted, or it has to be predestined to be inside of you. And that root grows into a tree. So that root has to be most definitely inside of you. It's predestined if you're meant to get it or be deceived. So let's continue on with the video. Every club or gang has a secret handshake or sign, like the Bloods and the Crips, which are low-level Luciferians, and so forth, right? One of many speak but don't know the backstory of is what most Westerners know and recognize it as the OK or A-OK sign, while occult aware know the symbol as the 666 symbol or divine king sign. In modern times, the hand gesture is used for other means, like a three-pointer in the NBA. Referees in the NFL use it for third down, while music, celebrities, politicians, and entertainers throw up the sign without even saying what they are representing. And in the Hindu religion, the OK sign is a revered mudra, a sacred gesture meaning infinity or perfection, associated with the female genitalia, also known as yoni, if I'm pronouncing that right. Every belief that speaks of spirituality is in fact speaking about what many call demons and the practices they partake, indirectly channeling spirits. So right here we have the approval of the divine king. A simple illustration of this symbol: thumb and forefinger are pressed together at the tips with the other three fingers extended. To occultists, the OK sign takes on darker significance. First, we find the circle indicating the sun deity and the Masons' never-ending quest for light. In Satanism, when making the sign, it is symbolic of the unholy trinity: horn god, the goddess, and offspring Antichrist, or Tammuz, which is Christ on the left-hand side. Thus, we have the 666, the sun deity, Lucifer, the goddess, the mystery, Babylon the Great, mother of harlots, and the beast, the Antichrist, 666, all in one unitary hand sign. Okay, there is no one Antichrist. There are many Antichrists, as the Hamashiach or Yahweh or Jesus, what the world calls him in the scripture states. So in this still shot photo, we have the actor turned rapper Drake and the harlot or influencer Sexy Red. Now notice the color scheme in this still shot: the black, the white, and the red, which is for witches, or in veneration of Pan or Ptah, or the black mask. So right here in this still shot, we have Sexy Red again throwing up the OK or the 666 sign and Ice Spice. Now I grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, mid to late 2000s. Now these rappers, or these female rappers nowadays, they have no depth. All they do is talk about their sexual prowesses and what they can do in and out the bed and twerking and so forth. But these are nothing but harlots or sex slaves in the music industry. Right here in this still shot, we have Sexy Red again at the BET Awards, and we have Uncle Luke. Now notice the color scheme, what he's wearing: the black, the red, and the white. He's a witch in the music industry, okay? Now look at the OK or 666 sign, okay? They're down with the craft. So right here we have Aphrodite, which is an ancient Greek goddess associated with love, lust, beauty, pleasure, passion, procreation, and as her synchronized Roman goddess counterpart, Venus, desire, sex, fertility, prosperity, and victory. Aphrodite's major symbols include seashells, myrtles, roses, doves, sparrows, and swans. The cult of Aphrodite was largely derived from that of the Phoenician goddess Astarte, a cognate of the East Semitic goddess Ishtar, whose cult was based on the Sumerian cult of Inanna. Aphrodite's main cult centers were Khethria, Cyprus, Corinth, and Athens. Her main festival was the Aphrodisia, which was celebrated annually in midsummer. In Laconia, Aphrodite was worshipped as a warrior goddess. She was also the patron goddess of prostitutes, an association which led early scholars to propose the concept of sacred prostitution in Greco-Roman culture, an idea which is now generally seen as erroneous. So all these deities or goddesses are all the same, just different names in different civilizations or time periods. Her equivalents are in the Roman equivalent Venus, Canaanite, Astarte, Mesopotamia equivalent Inanna, or the Egyptian equivalent Hathor or Isis. So right here we have the Eastern love goddess, which is Ishtar. Right here from the late 2nd millennium BC nude figurine of Ishtar from Susa, showing her wearing a crown and clutching her breast. Aphrodite was the patron goddess of prostitutes of all varieties, ranging from pornai, cheap street prostitutes typically owned as slaves by wealthy pimps, to heterai, expensive, well-educated hired companions who are usually self-employed and sometimes provide sex to their customers. Like the scripture says, there's nothing new under the sun. The city of Corinth was renowned throughout the ancient world for its many hetaira, who had a widespread reputation for being among the most skilled but also the most expensive prostitutes in the Greek world. Corinth also had a major temple to Aphrodite located on the Acropolis and was one of the main centers of her cult. Records of numerous dedications to Aphrodite made by successful courtesans have survived in poems and pottery inscriptions. References to Aphrodite in association with prostitution are found in Corinth, as well as on the islands of Cyprus, Syria, and Sicily. Aphrodite's Mesopotamian precursor, Inanna Ishtar, was also closely associated with prostitution, the great whore. So we all should be aware of what is called Monarch programming. These are assets, which are the stars or entertainers in the Hollywood sphere, nothing but minstrels programmed to do or influence the masses, to get them on board with the Babylonian Kemetic mystery schools and what they adhere to. So it states, Monarch programming is a mind control technique comprising elements of satanic ritual abuse, SRA, and multiple personality disorder, MPD. It utilizes a combination of psychology, neuroscience, and occult rituals to create within the slaves an alter persona that can be triggered and programmed by the handlers. Monarch slaves are used by several organizations connected with the world elite in fields such as the military, sex slavery, and the entertainment industry. So now I'm going to show an example of the satanic ritual abuse. A good movie example is Ghostbusters, starring Bill Murray, played as Dr. Peter Venkman, electroshock therapy.
Square. Good guess, but wrong.
So in this still shot, we have the inverted pentagram, and we all should be aware of what that means. And it states the inverted pentagram is a symbol used for Satanism, sometimes depicted with the goat's head of Baphomet within it, which originated from the Church of Satan. And we know this goes way beyond the establishment of the Church of Ha-Satan. This goes all the way back to the ancient days.
Clear your head. All right? Tell me what you think it is.
Is it a star?
It is a star.
So as we just seen in the clip, the woman is beguiled by the serpent, not a literal snake, but the serpent just means wisdom. There's wisdom on the left-hand side and there's wisdom on the right-hand side. So it states, and the man said, the woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree and I did eat. And the Lord God of Yahweh said unto the woman, What is it that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. So let's look up the word beguiled. And it states beguiled, number one, charm or enchant someone, sometimes in a deceptive way. Just like we seen in the clip, she thought she had it right, but the serpent or the energies of the serpent deceived her. Every prominent American artist has been beguiled by name. So here are some similar words for beguile: charm, attract, enchant, entrance, win over, woo, captivate, bewitch, spellbind, dazzle, blind, hypnotize, mesmerize, seduce, tempt, lead on, lure, entice, ensnare, entrap, deceive, mislead, take in, trick, dupe, fool, double cross, hoodwink, take advantage of.
Very good. That's great. Okay. All right. Think hard. What is it? Circle. Close. Spot definitely wrong.
So now we're in Matthew chapter 10, verse 16, and this is Jesus or Yahushua speaking. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Notice the word wise as serpents, because the serpent is in reference to wisdom, either on the left or the right hand side. Also in Matthew chapter 10, verse 16, Christ or the Hamashiach mandate to us that we must become wise as serpents and harmless as doves implies that we must develop discernment, the ability to detect motivation and the spirits that motivate, meaning what? The energies and vibrations of those around us. Okay. Reading on, Monarch slaves are mainly used by organizations to carry out operations using patsies trained to perform specific tasks, who do not question orders, who do not remember their actions, and if discovered, who automatically commit suicide. They are perfect scapegoats for high-profile assassinations. See Saran, the ideal candidates for prostitution, slavery, and private movie productions. They are also the perfect puppet performers in the entertainment industry.
Hi, I'm Pete Davidson, and I will be hosting the season premiere of SNL with Ice Spice.
Woo, look at us, three Gen Z icons.
Aren't you like 40?
No. Long time ago, I met this guy and made a deal where I get to stay 25 years old for forever.
What guy?
Tall fella, horns, red fur, I don't know, little hooves.
Keen, that's the devil, dude.
What? I thought it was like a Times Square Elmo or something.
So as we just seen, they use satire to make jokes or to tell the truth in a way, in an art form that people are unaware of. But the devil and the red horns and the subterranean place of torture or judgment, that's not real. These people venerate Nimrod, Baal, Osiris, whatever name you want to use. But these are just the old Babylonian Kemetic principles. And as we can see on her left arm, there is a monarch butterfly. She's a monarch child. So on the right hand side, we have Mr. Kenan Thompson. The priest of Baal or Osiris, they wore all black, or in the veneration of Saturn, 666, the hidden god. That's why they throw up a lot of the hand signs, the Martyr Cornelius, which is the devil horns. Reading on, it is difficult to remain objective when describing the horrors endured by monarch slaves, the extreme violence and abuse, the mental torture and sadistic games inflicted on victims by notable scientists and high-level officials prove the existence of a true dark side in the powers that be. Despite the revelations, the documents, and whistleblowers, a great majority of the population ignores, dismisses, or avoids the issue altogether. Over 2 million Americans have been programmed by trauma mind control since 1947, and the CIA publicly admitted its mind control projects in 1970. Movies such as The Manchurian Candidate have directly referred to the subject and even depicting actual techniques such as electroshock, the use of trigger words, and microchip implementation. Several public figures we see on our TV and movie screens are mind-controlled slaves. Famous people such as Candy Jones, Cecilia Emery, and Sirhan have gone on the record and disclosed their mind control experiences. And yet the general public claims that it cannot exist. This is why they have to tell you the truth in art form, because a lot of people can't handle the truth. The truth is not meant for everyone. So they had to express it in an art form. Like this movie right here, they've cloned Tyrone. Many examples of the Monarch programming that's aimed and directed toward the so-called black community, right? As we've seen in certain scenes in this movie, electroshock therapy, they control you through the food, through the drug and food administration and so forth. It's in your food, it's in your television and your TV sets. It's all mind control, and especially through religion, whether you claim to be a Christian or a quote unquote Hebrew Israelite. Even that has a negative connotation because we got to remember what is a cult? Cult of a personality, right? So, we have to be mindful of that as well. One of the primary reasons that the Monarch Mind Control Program was named Monarch Programming was because of its Monarch butterfly. The Monarch butterfly learns where it is born, its roots, and it passes this knowledge via genetics onto its offspring from generation to generation. This was one of the key animals that tipped scientists off that knowledge can be passed genetically. The Monarch program is based upon Illuminati and Nazi goals to create a master race, in part through genetics. If knowledge can be passed genetically, which it is, then it is important that parents be found that can pass the correct knowledge onto those victims selected for the Monarch and mind control. Right here we have Mr. Kanye West, who is a Luciferian. Don't be fooled by him claiming to be a Jew or quote unquote Israelite. This man is still heavily under the program, right? We have to be mindful and look at the clues of what is presented on the television or clues around us. And it states MK Ultra was brought to light by various commissions in the 1970s, including Rockefeller Commissions of 1975, although it is claimed that the CIA stopped such experiments after these commissions, while some whistleblowers have come forth stating that the project simply went underground and the Monarch program has become classified successor of MK Ultra. The most incriminating statement to date made by a government official as to the possible existence of Project Monarch was extracted by Anton Shakin, if I'm pronouncing it right, a writer for the publication The New Federalist. When former CIA Director William Colby was asked directly, "What about Monarch?" he replied angrily and ambiguously, "We stopped that between the late 1960s and the early 1970s. So we're all aware of the TMZ logo, which is just an acronym for this society's savior, which is Tammuz, which is Christ on the left-hand side.
I was drugged the fuck out, bro. I was drugged out. I was on opioids. 2 days after I got off of opioids, and I was addicted to opioids, 2 days I got off of opioids, I'm in the hospital.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say, I know today's a very important day, and I too feel the same. 2007 was a very special year for me, and I know that her memory will always be in your heart, and I wanted to wear my Dove shirt.
So a lot of people in the religious sets or the religions of the world believe that the Holy Spirit is in reference to the dove. But in the Babylonian Kemetic mystery religion, the dove represents Semiramis. Semiramis was under the name Astarte, who was worshipped not only as an incarnation of the Spirit of God, but as the mother of mankind. So right here we have the Dove t-shirt by Kanye West. Semiramis, being deified as Astarte, came to be raised to the highest honors, and her change into a dove has already been shown was evidently intended when the distinction of sex had been blasphemically attributed to the Godhead to identify her under the name of the Mother of Gods with that divine spirit. Without those agency, no one can be born a child of God, and whose emblem is the symbolical language of Scripture was the dove, as that of the Messiah was the lamb. Since the Spirit of God is the source of all wisdom, natural as well as spiritual, arts, invention, and skill of every kind being attributed to him. You can find this in Exodus chapter 31:3 and 35:31. And it states, "And I have filled him with the Spirit of the Most High, in wisdom and in understanding and in knowledge and in all manner of workmanship." Reading on, so the mother of the gods in whom the Spirit was fringed to be incarnate was celebrated as the originator of some of the useful arts and sciences. Hence also the character attributed to the Grecian Minerva, whose name Athena, as we've seen reason to conclude, is only a synonym for Beltis, the well-known name for the Assyrian goddess Athena. The Minerva in Athens is universally known as the goddess of wisdom, the interventress of arts and sciences. The name Astarte signifies also the maker of investigations and is in the respect was applicable to Cybele or Semiramis as symbolized by the dove.
Just to represent for Donda, and I just want to say my heart goes out to you, and I don't have anything else to say, bro. I just want to give you your flowers and continue doing everything that you're doing. We're on your side, bro.
I mean, I really appreciate that. You know, just for you guys understanding the humanity. The very first time I was ever given some medication, it was actually related to an incident with paparazzi in front of the airport, where I wrestled down the same paparazzi that used to be following Britney. And then they sent me an anger management class. I don't want to sign those right now, bro. I'm not going to sign them right now. All right, so they sent me this anger management class, and then the guy just gave me some medication, just like, yo, take this. I had never taken medication my entire life. And one doctor said, okay, this started like this slope or something. And, you know, the interesting thing, they saw the Harley text to me, and people are looking over it. You know, the media has run all these stories smearing me for saying, hey, I can't be anti-Semitic if I'm a Semite. Because I am. Because that's who we are. Black people we don't have a flag. Our history's been stolen from us. You go to the African American Museum, the starts of slavery.
Now, a lot of the sentiments that Kanye West is saying, or Ye, is true. The knowledge of who the so-called blacks of the captivity are in the scriptures. But you know, in Hollywood, you can't break the script. There's certain oaths that you have to abide by. So he's not going in protocol. So therefore, he is a threat. And of course, in the Jewish-owned media, they can smear him, label him crazy, and so forth. All Monarch programming or MK Ultra techniques that they've used on Mr. Kanye West for mind control, as he's going to state later in this video.
It doesn't start before then. They don't talk about Mansa Musa. They don't talk about us being here before. So,
what I've come to learn that this is a psychological war and it's a spiritual war. Your enemies are not supposed to teach you information or knowledge to uplift you and get your people out of the conditions that they're in. The so-called black people of the captivity or the so-called black community are in the lowest state that they've ever been. We're never taught about our medieval times in Europe, the Americas, Africa, and so forth. But it is in their best interest not to tell us our true history, right? We have to find that. And then we have to teach our own children, our own progeny, for they can learn and excel. But they give the so-called black community the hip-hop culture, drugs, the slavery narrative, which teaches that black equals slavery and white equals slave master. And along with other shows that put so-called black people in a negative or bad spotlight. They want our history to be at 1619. We haven't contributed anything else in this society or world. And that's his story, and that's what they teach pretty much in this Babylonian Kemetic, or what we call America, the Great Whore.
I want to read this text out to you again, right? Because people need to not forget this. So when I put up the tweet, I was going back and forth with Harley saying, hey, I'm angry. I'm angry at how these Jewish business people have done me and so many of my friends. Okay, come on. That's it.
Thank you.
So, and to this date, right? Y'all done seen everything you've proven. I got kicked out of the banks. Ari Emanuel asked all these businesses to stop doing business with me. Now, yeah, I was in negotiation with Adidas because that was my issue. They were getting lawyers to sign over my IP, different things without me being aware of it, like people signing on my behalf. And this is part of the problems I had with Adidas. So now the world has got to see how Adidas was as a partner. The fact that they would attempt to steal my designs. That's happened a lot in history, right?
Now, carnally, our people are gifted, but spiritually, we're in a low estate. That's why they take our inventions, our ideas, or they whitewash history. Okay? This is nothing that's new under the sun.
Right.
But now y'all get to see it in real life. Like, and that's the difference. Like, let's read this Harley text out loud when he was threatening me, you know, forcing me to apologize, you know, about the frustration. And no one ever said, okay, this is what you did. Well, even the fact that TMZ is going to say Kanye West, right? And my name is legally Ye now. It's always some form of disrespect. No matter if you're the richest black man or what happens. Let me read these Harley texts. This is how he was threatened. This is a trainer, but come to find out, he was actually Canadian intelligence, but this is my trainer. So this shows you the kind of handlers that are around the superstars in California, right? So it says, I'm going to help you one of a couple ways. First, you and I sit down and have a loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words. And everything that is discussed is based in fact, and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or you saw in a tweet. Second option, I have you institutionalized again where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to zombie land forever. Play date with the kids just won't be the same.
So electroshock torture is employed to force disassociation in the victim. In it states, trauma-based mind control programming can be defined as systematic torture that blocks the victim's capacity for conscious processing through pain, terror, drugs, illusion, sensory deprivation, sensory overstimulation, oxygen deprivation, cold, heat, spinning, brain stimulation, and often near death, and then employs suggestion and or classical and operant conditioning consistent with well-established behavioral modification principles to implant thoughts, directives, perceptions in the unconscious mind, often in newly formed trauma-induced dissociated identities that force the victim to do, feel, think, or perceive things for the purposes of the programmer. The objective is for the victim to follow directives with no conscious awarenessness, including execution of acts in clear violation of the victim's moral principles, spiritual convictions, and volition. So let's read this again. Monarch programming is a mind control technique comprising elements of satanic ritual abuse, SRA, and multiple personality disorder, MPD. It utilizes a combination of psychology, neuroscience, and occult rituals to create within the slaves an alter persona that can be triggered and programmed by the handlers. Monarch slaves are used by several organizations connected with the world elite in fields such as the military, sex slavery, and the entertainment industry. But let's focus on the word military.
As my graduate advisor, and the area that I was interested in was how drugs and food affect muscular performance. And
when you say drugs, so that like performance enhancing drugs, or are they
all kinds of drugs?
Oh, right, okay.
So working for the military, I wasn't governed by the same laws that the typical person was, so I could look at the impact of certain drugs that are not everyday things. So we looked at a drug called modafinil, which was for narcoleptics. So if you give a soldier this drug, how long could they stay awake for without having any health detriment?
Is that used now as one of these brain drugs? I've heard the name before somewhere.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Modafinil, it will keep you awake, but it's not a stimulant.
Really?
So if a special forces person has to stay awake for 3 nights waiting for the right opportunity to do whatever they have to do, we could give them modafinil and it would keep them alert. I did research on a drug called acetazolamide. which is for use at high altitude so you don't get altitude sickness.
Then let's have a conversation. But you ain't gonna send Harley Pasternak, Puff Daddy, Meek Mills, Kim Kardashian, none of the usual suspects, and get me to stop talking. You're going to have to take my life. I don't care if you Black Mirror me. I don't care if you do some of the alternative, what the thing where show me talking, saying somebody didn't say. I don't care if you have me fucking a goat on camera. I don't care what you do. You're going to have, yeah. And by the way, and if you take my life, there's going to be some college kid, some young Ye, some young Pac that's going to even go harder. It's going to, y'all thought George Floyd was going to send it up. If you took my life right now, you're going to see something you never saw. So we might as well have a conversation.
And I spent 10 years in university. I did degrees in nutrition and exercise physiology. I went on to graduate school where I was a nutrition scientist for the military. I got recruited by the Department of National Defense where I was an exercise and
This is the way a Hollywood trainer was talking to me to force me to go and like apologize, right? But even though they ended the deals and you know, Farrakhan said, hey, you know, did he really ever have it? Let me explain to Farrakhan what that meant. I mean, my contract for Adidas was for 4 more years. My royalty was $500 million a year. That's what I meant when I said the $2 billion was lost in a day. Because of the negotiation with Adidas, I wanted to negotiate something where it's like, okay, you guys, you'll take the Yeezy, but we still get the royalties. And people saw, it's like when we dealt with George Floyd, different things, I'm the one put the money up. You know what I'm saying? I put $2 million. I always support it in every one of these situations. So you think about if Harley was part of intelligence, right? What kind of people you think are surrounding my kids? What kind of people you think are in that house right now? My kids go to Sierra Canyon. It's a Jewish school that doesn't teach Christianity to these Christian kids. At Christmas time, they're teaching Kwanzaa to black kids. They say, hey, this is your Christmas. This is all indoctrination. This is all mind control. You gotta understand, like I don't believe I'm putting myself at risk because I think God uses me for a time like this. He put me in this situation and had y'all follow me from George Bush Don't Care to Beyonce Had the Best Video to now.
I do believe it was the late 2000s. Of course, I knew certain things about what was going on in this world, especially here in the Americas with satanic or Illuminati. But, you know, I didn't come into the knowledge of who we are biblically in the scriptures until the middle part of the 2010s. And that's when my journey really began. So Mr. Kanye West has been heavily under program. And it looked like he's awakening from certain alternate personalities and whatnot.
For some reason, y'all are interested. Two Chainz said, YSL belt buckle. Y'all niggas always looking like y'all are interested for some reason. And they wanted to medicate me every day. You realize, like, they could have just switched to medication and I wouldn't be here. And on the news, they would have said it was because of a mental issue, right? Yeah. I ain't never been back to the hospital since 2015.
Truth be told, you'll come to find out if you do any diligent research on your favorite entertainers, aka minstrels of this society, that, you know, their untimely death was contrived, or it was a quote unquote ritual, as Mr. Kanye West is about to state about his mother.
But every time they say I'm crazy, it's just when I'm saying the truth. So what's the crazy part, really? What's the crazy part, really?
You'll come to find out in society that most of the people are robots, flesh and blood, right? They can't think outside of the box. They only live in a two-dimensional point of view, right? The black and the white, or the white and the black. But the truth or the knowledge of the truth is usually in the gray area. Like the old saying, truth is stranger than fiction, right? And you can tell people who you know or associate with and they'll look at you like you're crazy, because most people do not want to travel down that rabbit hole. Like in the movie The Matrix, right? Which just means the womb. Ignorance is bliss, right? Hear no evil, Speak no evil, see no evil.
They can't scare you. They can't control you. They can't. They try to suppress you, but that's how they try to categorize
They
you.
can't control you. You get what I'm saying? They can control Shaq. They can control Charles Barkley. They can control LeBron James. They can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Let's not jump the gun, Mr. Ye or Kanye West, because you have been controlled. You have been part of the MK Ultra or the Monarch programming, okay? Whether you know it or not, you've been heavily influenced on the masses and the esoteric knowledge that has been bestowed upon you, and, you know, still shot in pictures tell you a whole different story. What do they say? A picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Reading on, people say, what's the purpose of it? My best guess is that the purpose of it is that they want an army of Manchurian candidates, 10 of thousands of mental robots who will do prostitution, do movies, smuggle narcotics, engage in international arms smuggling, all sorts of very lucrative things, and do their bidding, and eventually their megalomaniacs at the top believe they'll create a satanic order that will rule the world. Monarch programmers cause intense trauma to subjects through the use of electroshock, torture, abuse, and mind games in order to force them to disassociate from reality, a natural response in some people when they are faced with an unbearable pain. The subject's ability to disassociate is a major requirement, and it is apparently most readily found in children that come from families with multiple generations of abuse.
When those people would meet, they all used to walk through the bushes at the Unitarian church down by the water in Huntington. There was a building, some other building, big building, tall, right through the bushes at the fellowship. And they'd have these big circles of these Satanists around an altar where the people, sometimes in hooded, what do you call them? They were wearing these long cloaks that were brown with hoods, and they'd be in a circle or two circles, one inside of the other, by the altar, where there'd be live children and sometimes babies, but not at the same time, you know, one at a time. So, and that would happen at night. It never happened during the fellowship. I saw people get stabbed and start bleeding, and it would be dripping to the floor. It was children. The youngest I ever saw stabbed, I'd say it was about younger than 2 years old. And then there were several that were 2 and 3 years old. I can't imagine how anybody got away with that. The kid disappears. Don't detectives come try to figure out what happened?
Not you, man. But they can't control me. You see, it ain't no name I won't name. Exactly. It's up.
Not you.
You know what I'm saying? And just for Minister Farrakhan, I love you, but the way you read that, I took that as a slight. You know what I'm saying? I don't take no disrespect from nobody. So let's get on the phone. Let's talk that out. I don't care who you are. I ain't taking no slice from nobody, right? I ain't taking no slice from nobody. It's God. That's the only person that I serve. My mama ain't here. My mama was sacrificed.
My mama was sacrificed.
Me too.
You understand?
Yeah, I'm a Christian too.
Michael Jordan, what about him? His daddy, right? Bill Cosby, his son, right? Dr. Dre, his son. You know, out in Hollywood, a lot of people come up missing.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Hollywood or Hollywood music industry, whether it's in entertainment, sports, etc. Okay? It's what's called a blood sacrifice. Fame is not something that's achievable by just status or, skills alone.
Feels like it might be a lot of that in order to control, traumatize. They want to monetize and traumatize. And God loved me. You understand? They hit me. Gap, Adidas, all that away. Still, Forbes, who hate me, right, had to write net worth 400 million. Jesus is king. God loved me.
That's more important thing in life.
That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? And this truth is going to be heard. I can't send none of y'all Meek Mills, y'all Puffies, y'all Lil Boozies, none of these names. None of these people that have to listen to y'all because they have legal. I never killed nobody.
Now, you'd be surprised how many of your favorite actors or minstrels have killed someone, allegedly though, but it's all part of the satanic or the Canaanite religion that's heavily practiced in the Hollywood sphere, right? They have to do certain rituals. They adhere to Baal or Nimrod or Osiris or Set, whatever term you want to use. It's all the same.
Right? I'm the pussy that never killed nobody, right? But that means I can say whatever I want and not go to jail. And even if they did figure out a way, I'm still not backing down from what I said. It's Jewish people that did bad business. I'm Semite, so I can't be anti-Semitic. They stole our history from us. They stole who we are, and it's up. In Jesus' name, amen. Y'all have a good night.